Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nikki and Carley show. I'm Carly,
I'm Nikki.
and we're sisters, and we're here to just tell you all of our funny stories of life happenings. Um, so, Nicole, how-
We're still working on the intro. So so tonight's episode is going to be our dads. So we're going to talk about our dads. We have a tribute to our dad. We lost him 15 years ago yesterday, so we thought it would be fitting to talk about our dads tonight. But first, Carly, tell me about your week. What'd you do this week?
I didn't really have that eventful of a week. We had a basketball game for my middle son, and it was his first game, first time ever playing, so it was a lot of ball watching. So it was kind of comical because Ted's on the sideline trying to coach him, get to the center, get to the center, and he's like, oh, where are they going? Okay, like, I'm just like, give him some grace, give him some grace. First game.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. I mean, nothing really crazy funny happened. I did have a realization that I'm short. I'm like 5'3", so I'm really
5'3"?
short. Yes.
We're reaching 5'3"?
Maybe 5'2.5". Okay, you got me on half. So, but I had a realization the other day. I'm like, side hugs with women are not really good for me. Like, it's so awkward. I cannot side hug a woman. So if you're gonna come hug me, like, you have to hug me, like, hug with
Yeah.
both arms, because the side hug, I end up like this with your boob, or your boob tucks nicely right into my neck, and it's so awkward because I'm like, oh, this is so weird. Hey, good to see you.
It is so, like, hugs are so weird because you don't know if they're a hugger or not a hugger. And then, like, you're like, I'm not sure. Are we coming in? We're not coming in.
Yeah.
And then it's like side hug, no hug. And then you, like, body check somebody.
Well, Ted had that the other day. He ran into one of our old neighbors, and he's an Indian guy. And I'm telling you this because Indians are typically like on the shorter side, and Ted's 6 foot, so he's a short guy. And he's like, Ted, oh, I'm so excited to see you. And he goes up to Ted, and he goes to do like a. Ted's going to shake his hand, and the guy comes up and like hugs him, and he's like, "Oh, this is awkward." And then he full hugs Ted like around his waist because Ted's like way taller. He said, "I didn't know if I was supposed to dip him or not. Like, it was so awkward."
I think Ted said he's like, so I just brought him in.
He just brought him in. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Little head rub.
That's the same guy. That's the same guy that tell him about Ted, what he said to Ted when he saw him.
No, that was a different one. We have another customer who's an Indian guy, and He's short, like he's probably 5 feet, and he has a big old belly. And he walks up to Ted one day. We were at his house, and he walks up and he goes, "Oh, Ted, getting a little bigger, huh?" And he pats his belly. Ted's like, "Come on, man, like what? What are you talking about, my It was so funny. I was crying. Like, I couldn't get it together with this guy. Because he's got a big belly. And he's patting Ted's belly. Like, what are you talking?
Yeah. I learned gordo when I went to Mexico when we did the mission trip. And I was like, oh, I know what that word is. Be careful. But it's not, like, it wasn't like an insult there.
Yeah.
Like, so it was so weird because, like, if you call some girl fat here, we're going to throw. But there, it's like you a big girl.
Yeah, because
it's
you have money to eat.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah.
Listen,
back
in the day, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if we were back in medieval times, I would have been very wealthy, as pale and chunky.
well off. Very well off.
You're looking at royalty, okay? I don't want to brag. But I was literally putting sunblock on my face today because we have this sunblock lotion that's awesome. And I put it on every day. And I'm like, I don't even know why I'm putting sunblock on. I'm not going out in the sun. Like, what am I doing? Like, do I need sunblock? I am white. Like, this sunblock really works. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, leave it off for a little while.
I might take my chances with the sun.
Yeah. Take your chance.
Well, I need some
Uh,
vitamin D. I'm like, we've been sick for so long, and so
yeah.
like the other day, the sun was finally out, and I was like, I gotta go out there and sit for a minute. So I just went out in the backyard and just sitting, and it's so awkward because we have cameras out there, and I'm like, what if my family has to look at this?
Well, or like the security people, like they're like,
Like if something happens and you gotta pull the cameras up.
yeah, yeah. And then so back to the side hug because then the other issue with that is if it's somebody my height, we're like sword fighting with our arms, trying to figure out who's going high and who's going low. Like, okay, this is so weird. Yeah, so I had that realization, and then tonight, Mom takes Maddox up to the field and meets us up at the field for his football practice. Well, she picks me up from Ted, drops Maddox and picks me up. So we're riding out and we're driving away. And I see my friends and they're like starting to talk to me. And I'm like, hey guys, I rolled the window down. And Mom's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I was just going to say hi to my friends. And she's like, oh, okay. But she keeps driving and they're walking to the car to come say hello and talk to us.
I'm sorry, my mom's making me go home.
I'm like hanging out the window. I'm like, Mom, they're coming to talk to us. What are you doing? She goes, oh, and she puts it in reverse. Because you know her and her pedals. So really it's like this, hey guys, sorry. She didn't realize we were talking.
Oh, I can see your curls when you lean back like that.
Oh, you can see them? Look, I did my hair. Look.
Yeah.
But I was like, you're not even going to be able to see them because look. So glad I took the time.
I told Carly tonight, I said, I put on a nice sweater because I said, you always look so cute and I always feel like a lizard. And so when I came and sat down, my sweater was green. And so it just blended into the green backdrop behind me. So I looked like I was just a head.
Brick. When she said that, I was like, oh, that's too bad because I dressed down tonight for you. I put a t-shirt on.
Jackass.
She's ticking me off. So then she says, she does that and the green screen's deleting her and I'm like, t-shirt, should have had the t-shirt. Like, you're doing fine. She's flicking me off as she's walking up the camera to go change.
Well, what you don't see is I'm wearing my paint pants because I'm painting and they're awful. They're just really bad. But I don't know. They could be in style. I probably could sell these for a lot of money. A lot of different.
You can. Mom and I went to JCPenney's one time and there was a whole rack of paint pants with just like splattered pants. I'm like, Mom, my pants are on the rack, like $60. Yeah. What the heck?
No kidding. You could really for real. My pants are fancy.
But see, so I'm a painter. And what's funny is people will see us and we'll be pressure washing house and they go, oh, you paint too?
Yep.
It's all over me. I didn't buy these from the store like this.
They might. They're like, wow, you're painting in some really fancy clothes today.
I do though because I use all my old clothes that I don't wear anymore. I use those for work, so I'm out there with sequins on my shirt with paint all over it. I'm like, hey, trying to be pretty at work. Working with my husband.
I didn't know that. You're such a nerd.
I do. I wear my old clothes. I'm not gonna a lot of them. If I stain my shirts or something, I'm like, okay, work shirt. Or even cute pants. I'm like, why not wear? I wear them every day. Why not wear my cute pants? That I feel comfortable.
That's true. Yeah. That makes sense. My paint pants are super cute. Well, they used to be super cute. Now they're all painted up. But, so I didn't really have a busy week this week. I had a busy week. I worked a lot, but I didn't really have anything. Oh, so today, a friend of mine and we've been doing videos for our real estate, And so we've been doing them together. And she's like one of my favorite people. She's just the coolest person. She was a golf pro, and like, I mean, she's just so interesting. You know those people you just love?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she's always like talking me into stuff. She's like, come on, let's do this video. And I'm like, okay. I'm getting more comfortable with doing videos. So we're always doing these ridiculous videos, like we roll around on the ground and stuff. And the last time we did them, we had an office like party. So there was all these people there, and we were rolling around on the ground. And we had to like actually practice, because I was like, I don't remember the last time I actually rolled. Like rolled.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That and skipping. I want to try that. Try skipping.
oh yeah, we were supposed to make Mom skip.
Yeah, we got to do it.
So anyway, so we have this one, and it's like the trust fall, right? And it's like, don't trust a discount agent. So of course she's like, okay, well, let's do a couple and see how we do it. So of course I'm the one falling, right?
Yeah.
And so I keep falling.
Why the gimp is the one falling? I don't understand. Like, you just had all these surgeries and
Yeah.
you offer to fall? Why?
I don't know, because she talks me
Did
into
you
it.
draw the short straw?
I
Like, come
know.
on.
She talks me into it. And so I'm falling.
Peer pressure. Do not cave to peer pressure.
Well, we did it, I don't know, 20 times, and I'm falling back. And then we had like the couch there so I could fall back on it. But the couch is not made for that. Like, it just looks pretty because it's in the
No,
office.
it's a fancy one with the big wooden back
Yeah,
behind the cushion.
yeah. And I hit my head a few times. So I would fall back, and then she would forget that she was supposed to talk while I was falling. And so she was just watching me fall. And I'm like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? She's like, I'm sorry, I was watching you. And then we'd get the giggles. And then we had to start over. So we had to do it like 20 times. And then I would fall, and I would actually hit the couch, like the back of the couch. And I would make crazy noises. And then she'd start to giggle.
Well, I'm in doing my makeup, trying to get ready, and Nicole sends through all the bloopers, so I'm watching them. Oh, well, I get to laughing so hard, I'm crying. Like, the noises that she makes, I don't even know where they come from, but here it is. So I'm crying, trying to get myself together.
It was so funny. We had so much fun. I mean, we always have so much fun doing the videos, but we had so much fun. And so, like, when you see the actual video, the real one, it just looks so boring compared to what we were actually doing. And we were just giggling so hard. So we have a couple other ones.
I didn't even see the real one.
Oh, we're
I'll
gonna
have to go back and look at it.
yeah, we have some other ones we're gonna do this week. So it's we're pretty excited about it. So. I mean, because, you know, at this point, it's like when you're just being ridiculous, that's what people want to see, like when you're laughing and having fun. But
yeah.
yeah,
or
it was
crazy sounds when you fall.
Well, like, you're supposed to like make it like it's supposed to sound like you're falling, but when I would actually hit the couch, I was like, oh. I didn't even have to pretend. It hurt so bad.
That just reminded me of a funny story. One day, we were changing out Dane's mattress, and Dane is my youngest son who has Down syndrome, and he does not understand that you cannot. So we take the mattress off, and we're moving it out, and he runs in, and he just sees this blank slate of the box spring. So he runs in, Supermans it into the box spring, and he goes, oh! I felt so bad. I was like, because, you know, it was like I had no idea he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And he ran full sprint, ran in, Supermaned it, and I'm like, no! Like, Dane, like, it was like slow-mo. So he gets up, and he's like,
Poor Dane.
So bad. I felt so bad for him.
But then
Anyway, so yeah.
I don't even know how our kids are normal, because we have that condition, so we just giggle at that. So you can't even help them because you're laughing so hard. But oh gosh, so I'll post the bloopers on our Facebook so you can see them. The video will be out. No, I'll put the link to it because it's they were really funny. I think they were funnier than the actual video.
Well, especially that one you made all that noise. That was so funny. I was crying.
Well,
Couldn't
and
get
then when we were doing it with her, so we both did the video, right? So then she would fall, and I would go, "Okay, do you trust me?" And then she wouldn't fall. She's like, "I'm too afraid." I'm like,
trust you.
like, yeah, it's scary because you can't see the couch, so you're just falling, free fall onto the couch. That may or may not be there, like, but anyway, so yeah, so our show tonight is about our dads. So we'll give you kind of a little background. So we have 3 dads. So we have our dad, who is Don, and he crazy hippie, like just lived life. Everybody that met him, I mean, you just loved him, right? Like you just met Donnie and you just fell in love with him. He had friends all over from every walk of life. Everybody loved him. He just had that charisma. And then we have excuse me, then we have Dennis, who's our stepdad. And Dennis has been in our life for 30 years. So, I mean, we kind of don't really know life without him. Because I'm only, just over 30. Not really, but so Dennis has been in our life for 30 years, and we call him Pop. So my dad was Daddy-O, and then Dennis is Pop, and then we have Papa, which is Jake's dad. So Jake and I will be married 25 years this week. So Papa's been in our life and been our dad for 27 years, right? He's just part of it. And
our dad is key because I was adopted into that family the minute my sister started dating Jake. So
yeah, well, Carly's my +1. So
+1, even with the family.
But it's kind of cool because Ted, I mean, we'll have to tell his story one day, but so Ted's parents are not around and they passed when he was young. And so he doesn't have grandparents on that side. So Papa and Nina became the other side of grandparents for the boys. So that's kind of how our family dynamic is not normal, but it is for us. So the boys, so Carly's boys have 2 sets of grandparents. My kids have 2 sets of grandparents, and they happen to be the same ones. So, so anyway, but these 3 men are so completely different. I mean, they are just, right? Completely. I mean, they're like night and day from each other. Yeah. But they were all best friends. Like, they all got along so well. So
yeah, our dad came to every event, everything, like, after they were divorced, like, forever.
Yeah, trips, everything. Thanksgiving, Christmas. So we would all go to Jake's parents' house for Thanksgiving. So, like, mom and pop, Daddy-O, and Nina and Papa, we'd be at their house. Excuse me. So it's, like, odd, but normal for us. So it's always been, like, we've always celebrated. Like, so our dad would go visit Papa and Nina without us. And Papa and Nina will go and visit Judy and Dennis without us. So it's pretty fun. They're all friends. And so they've been friends forever. But I think that kind of goes back because our grandparents were friends. And they would have hang out all the time, too. So, it's kind of cool to see that generational come down. But, but yeah, so they're totally different. So I think we should start with Pop.
Well, so Pop, he loves to, he's notorious for every time you're watching a movie or a TV show and he has seen it before, 9 times out of 10, he's already seen it. He will explain to you, like, what's going to happen, or he'll be like, oh, yeah, when they go and crash the helicopter, or, like, they always say something, like, and we're like, Pop, let us watch the movie, quit, like, we're trying to watch.
And so we were watching the movie one day, like, the whole family watching the movie, and we're watching Marley and Me, and it's at the point, I'm not spoiling it, it's at the point where, like, they move into the farmhouse, and the dog's meeting them at the bus, and the family's, like, showing you all, like, how they love the dog. And Pop walks into the room, and he looks over at the movie, and he goes, the dog dies. He just keeps going. We're like, Pop! Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So Mom did that the other day. She was doing that with him.
But she was watching Old Yeller, and he walked in the room, she goes, the dog dies. She was like, he didn't think it was that funny. So she's like, yeah, I was trying to work. But then, so then you had a story with Old
Oh,
Yeller.
yeah. So, okay, so we digress. But Emily, so in elementary school, they changed where you couldn't have like a Halloween dress up. So you had to do a book character parade. And so Emily went as Old Yeller. And so that was her book. And so she thought he was cute. So she had like the overalls and the bandana and the hat, the boots. Like she thought it was so cute. And so when she got home later, we were like, yeah, it was really interesting that you went as Old Yeller because, you know, he shoots his dog. And she's like, what? You didn't tell me? Why did you let me go through there and didn't tell me that he shoots his dog like he kills his own?
She was mortified.
She never read the book. Like she never read the book. But
apparently she was never gone.
Yeah. So Pop is the most detailed, got everything in line. Like if that shirt, you know, if Pop can't fix it, we're screwed. That's truth. Like if Pop can't fix it, we're in trouble because we call
all
Pop
in trouble. Yeah.
We call Pop for everything. We're like, Pop, how do I fix this? One time I was redoing my bathroom and I was like, I'm just gonna take this off and do it. And he said, honey, I'm coming. And he drove up from South Florida and it stayed the weekend and helped me redo the bathroom because he didn't want me to mess with the electrical. He's like, honey, don't touch that. I'm coming. But
yeah. He does though. I mean, he's like our saving grace around here. It's like if anything happens, we're like, when's Pop coming?
I know. I know. Yeah, every time he comes, we give him a job, so he likes to be busy. And I try to like give him time to relax, but he's always like, okay, what can I do? He's always, you know, trying to do something. But that's his love language. Like that's how he shows you love is like he does stuff for you. And so it's pretty fun to watch. And it makes me laugh because like whenever he comes to the house, he'll like kick back and relax, and that's like what I want him to do, you know. So I'm always happy when he comes.
Yeah.
But see, the difference is I didn't grow up with Pop. I was already a teenager driving and stuff. Yeah. So I was never home when they were dating. And then when they got married, I was already out of the house. So Carly grew up with Pop. So we have kind of a little bit of a different background because I grew up with our dad, who was like the hippie, you know, like whatever, you know, like I don't even know how our parents were married because Judy wears lipstick to the beach and Dad would be like, fine if you never shave your legs. And he's like, I don't know what the problem is. I'm like, no, Dad, no. Like, I've never been peer pressured for drugs, but from my dad. He's like, Nick, do shrooms with me. I'm like, no, I don't do that. He's like, it'll open your mind. I'm like, no, you're crazy. You're crazy. But I remember one time.
It's funny because he was so holistic and like he was very natural and you know he warned us about all these things and it's funny because now I am that like I'm like what happened to me? Like,
I know. I'm like if you say oregano tea one more time.
I know.
Well, so Dad would come up to visit us, like, and he would come stay with us for the weekend, and we had Logan, and Logan was a baby. And so we were like, okay, we're going to go out. Like, we're going to let you babysit because he was so excited to babysit, right? Like, and we know how that feels now because we're like, go somewhere. Let us have him and go somewhere. Yeah. So we come back and they're in and he's giving him a bath in the bathtub. And we're like, wait a minute. Like, we didn't approve this. Like, this is too far. You know, it's our first baby. And Logan's eyes are bright red. And Dad's like pouring water over his head. And Logan's looking at us like, save me. He gave him a saltwater bath. He's like, this is so good for him. His little eyes were bright red. He was like, salty. It's so salty. But yeah, it was fun. But so we had lots of fun. But so then let's talk about, we'll come back to Dad. But so Papa is like the cuddle, like he just that hug that just makes you feel safe. Like you just want to be with Papa.
Yeah. I love hugging Papa. Like whenever I see Papa, I just go into his arms and it's like I just melt into Papa. Like, come on,
Yeah,
Papa. And he
yeah.
just hugs you like he just is the best.
I know, it's the best.
Ever.
But Papa gets us in trouble sometimes. He just does some stuff, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
He's very ornery.
He
Papa
is,
is very ornery.
yeah. And every time we would come for Thanksgiving with the kids, he would make the like he would rake all the leaves into this giant leaf pile, and then as soon as the kids got out of the car, they knew it was going to be there, and they would run and jump in the leaves, and everybody would
Yeah.
jump in the leaves, all the kids. It was crazy.
So, so tell your story about Papa with when he went into the store.
So Papa's real like laid back and chill, and he's got the best stories. We got to get him to come on, but he's got the best stories. So one time they were going, I guess, to a football game or basketball game, and so Nina sent him into the store to get some stuff, and they had like a whole van full of people, and so Papa goes into the store, and he's got a button-down shirt on, and so he's got his two arms are full with bags, right? He's like paper bags. And so he walks up to the door and it won't open. So he like gets a little closer. It gets a little closer. And then it opens and the door catches his shirt and pops all the buttons off his shirt. So
All the
he
buttons.
he can't do anything. So now his belly's hanging out, his shirt's open, he's just standing there with the two bags. So he just walks to the car with his shirt open, all his pants are in there. And Nancy says, "Well, did you get the buttons?" He's like, "No." So she made him go back in and he had to go pick up all the buttons.
Could you imagine? He was probably so mortified, and
Excuse
then he
me.
has to like
Excuse
pick him
me.
up
With his shirt open.
full clothes.
Isn't that so funny? So we
Oh,
were just teasing him the other day. They called. And so one day they were here and they were talking. So Papa wears hearing aids, so he can't hear, right? And Nina's not a morning person. So you don't talk to Nina until after she has her coffee. So Papa says, well, and he's retired, right? And Nina works like 2 days a week. So Papa says, he says something like, well, yeah, I can't hear the alarm, so Nina has to wake me up. And we're like, why do you need an alarm? And he's like, oh, because I have to get up and wake Nina up for work. And we're like, what? What is happening? It was so what we figured out was Papa can't hear the alarm because he doesn't have his hearing aids in. So Nina sets her alarm, and then she wakes Papa up and says, it's time to get up so you can wake me up. So Papa gets up, goes and makes Nina coffee, comes back and wakes her up for work. So
yeah.
we're like, Nina, what kind of power do you have that you have this man trained that he wakes up you have to wake him up to wake you up. Like he doesn't have to be anywhere.
But that's so Papa. Like he's just so sweet. He's so funny.
It's so funny. So we tease him so bad. So we were giving Nina a hard time that we broke Papa. And now she has to retrain him because he's like, well, why do I get up? And she said, because you like to. And he's like, oh, I like to. This is like super trained. Like he was brainwashed. We were like, well played, Nina. Well played. It's a good job. I guess you when you've been married 50.
And he likes it. Like he does it with a happy heart.
Yeah,
But
she's like, because you like it. And he's like, oh, I like it. We're like, what is happening? It was the craziest thing to see. But it's so funny. And it's so cute to see, like, the love that they have together. And 50 years they've been married. So it's nice. It's nice to have that, role model. But, but yeah, so he makes me laugh so hard. Like, he just tells stories all the time. And you're like, how did you hold that back from us?
Yeah.
So one time, so sorry I keep coughing. I just can't stop. It's like never ending. So, okay, so we're from South Florida. And you just don't eat food at a gas station. Like, that's not a thing. Unless you want to die. Like, I don't even think that hot dogs are called hot dogs anymore. I think they call them witch fingers. You just don't eat there. And God forbid, you would never eat seafood from a gas station. Like, even from South Florida, where you're right by the ocean, you just wouldn't do it. That's a death wish. So when Jake and I It was like our early years of marriage, and our kids were really little, and a hurricane came through, and Jake was on the disaster recovery team, so he was like, you have to go. I'm going to be at work. I'm going to be in this category 4 shelter or whatever, and I don't want you here with the kids, and I'm not here. So take the kids and go meet my parents. There's a friend in Mississippi, and that's what I told you last time, right? When the cop like walked me to the house. Did I tell you that story?
No.
Oh God. So okay. So anyway, so I go. Okay, I didn't know I was leaving for the hurricane, and I was a little backed up, so I took a laxative. And then Jake decided like we should go. The hurricane's coming. It's a big one. So I left the next morning. Didn't think about it. Packed the kids. Logan was maybe 2, so Emily was in a carrier, like the car seat. So I'm on I-10. I-10 is totally backed up because everybody's leaving from the hurricane. And all of a sudden I get the goosebumps. I'm like, oh no. Oh God. Like, this is bad. Because you're stuck in traffic, right? On I-10. So I get
down. And I-10's the worst too because there's no exits. And I know this because I ran out of gas there.
Yeah. And so there's like one rest area. And so pull over, and of course everybody's at the rest area because everybody's got to go to the bathroom. We're all sitting in traffic for hours.
Excuse me, pardon me.
So I have a 2-year-old I'm dragging along, and a car seat a carrier I'm carrying. Meanwhile, I'm like trying not to go to the bathroom, and I finally get in. I go to the first stall.
You walking like a penguin.
I know. It's like oh no, like goosebumps. Like you're like I'm not gonna make it. So I get in and I go to the very first stall because I'm like, I can't risk it. Somebody left. I'm going right in there. So I have I have Emily on the carrier on the floor and Logan's standing. I'm like, don't touch anything. And so I'm going to the bathroom and Logan reaches up, unlocks the door and pushes it open. And he's just learned how to say hi. So he's like, hi. And he's so stinking cute that everybody's like, hi. Oh, you're so cute. Hi. And I'm like, can you shut the door? Can somebody shut the door? Hey, excuse me. Can you shut the door? No, you can't. Somebody shut the door. So here I'm just going to the bathroom and everybody's walking past. There's like 100 people there. I'm like, oh my gosh. So finally we get to Mississippi. Oh gosh, this is such a long story. So we get to Mississippi and it's midnight. Well, this is back in the day with no maps and no GPS and, a cell phone that barely did anything.
Yeah.
And Nina and Papa are meeting me from Arkansas. And so I get there first and they're like a couple hours out. Well, I cannot find this house. And it's this little town. It's pitch black. I can't see the numbers of the houses. I've got 2 babies sleeping, right? So I'm like, okay. I find the police station and I'm like, hey, and the kids are in the car and I'm like standing there and I open the door and I'm like, hey, I said, I'm trying to find this address, I'm meeting my in-laws there. Can you help me find it? I can't find it. And they both the 2 police officers look at each other and go, oh, that's that haunted house. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, that the one's abandoned, the real scary one is like, and I'm like, I can hear you. Like, what are you doing? And so it's almost like they were deciding who was going to take me. So the loser has to take me.
Yeah, they're pulling straws.
Yeah, like who's going to the haunted house?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yeah. So I'm like, can somebody please take me there? Like, it's midnight. I'm exhausted. I just drove, hours to get here. And so
my belly hurts.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, I felt better then.
I gotta change my pants.
I don't know about you, but driving that far with 2 little people is really hard by yourself. And so I get there, and he drives me up there, and the house is pitch black, right? Because it's like their summer home or something, so they haven't been there. And the police officer's like, is this it? And I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. Like, you're the police officer. You live here. This town is like 6 blocks. And so he says, well, you going to go in? And I'm like, you going to wait here? So I go up, and I'm like, well, they said they were going to leave the key under the mat, so I'll go check, right? So I go, and there's nothing. And I said, well, maybe it's in the back. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, well, can you come with me? And he's like, okay. You go first. I'm like, what? I'm like, you have the fucking flashlight. Like, what do you mean? So I'm dropping in holes in the yard. Like, I don't know if this is the house. So I go, and I'm in their backyard at midnight, right?
Yeah.
In Mississippi. So I go to the back door, and he's like, okay, go ahead in. And I'm like, you go in. You're the one in uniform. You have a gun. Like, they're not going to shoot you in uniform. They're going to shoot me. So he opens the door, and he, like, scared to go in. And he, like, peeks in. He's like, all right, come on. And I come in, and he's like, okay, see you later. I'm like, hold on. Like, hold on. I'm like, let me make sure I'm in the right house. Like, I don't want to be in somebody's house. So I look, and I find a, like, mail, and it's her name. So I'm like, okay. So he leaves. And now I'm scared to death because it's like the haunted abandoned house in the neighborhood.
Yeah, by yourself and your babies.
Yeah, so, and it was like a super old house. So it was kind of cool because, well, I would never want this, but to get into the bedrooms, there was a hallway and they went through the bedrooms. So you had to go through the bedrooms to get to the other bedroom. Does that make sense? And like the one door, like the side door, like went through the bedrooms to get to the kitchen. And then there was a living room. So I just took the babies and I just went into a room and locked both those doors. So I just sat on the bed and waited. And so Nancy and Leon came, and you know everything. It was fine. They were like, okay, we stayed there the night. I was like, I like just slept on the bed with my eyes open, both the babies next to me, like stay close. But we ended up waking up in the morning, and it was such a cute town. The house was so cute. It was just adorable, like. Just the cutest town. So we're going, and we decided, okay, that storm's too bad. The I-10 bridge on Alabama is underwater. Like, I'm just going to go to Arkansas and stay for a couple weeks until it clears out and I get back home. So we're leaving, and Papa's like, well, let's stop and get something to eat. And so we pull into this gas station, and they're serving shrimp po' boys. Now, we're, like, early in our marriage, like, not in the point where I can be like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not going to die here today. So I had to eat. And so I ordered, like, the smallest shrimp po' boy you could have. And as we're driving away, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was the best po' boy I've ever had to date. Like, it was just perfect bread, French bread, and like the shrimp were perfect. Oh, it's the best.
And did you get sick from it?
No, it was amazing.
Oh,
so Papa and I have been on a mission to find the perfect po' boy. So we went to New Orleans, and I hit like 6 or 7 restaurants when I was pregnant, trying to find the perfect po' boy. And then finally, we were going back through Mississippi, and it was 2 hours out of the way, and I was big pregnant with Nate. And so we're like, we're going to that gas station. We're gonna go get our po' boy, and it was back in the like when the kind of everything recession hit. So we pull up to the gas station, and it's got big spray paint on the window. We're closed. And Papa and I are just leaning on the glass with our bellies, like crying. It was so sad. Huh?
What a letdown. You
I know,
finally
it was
found
terrible. And we convinced our family to drive 2 hours out of the way to go to this po' boy.
Oh, no. That makes it worse.
Yeah.
Too bad you didn't have the phones with the Google to see if they were still open. What's your hours?
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know the name of it. But Papa, like, so when Papa gives you directions, he can go someplace one time and then be able to get there every time. And he'll say, okay, so whenever I would drive through the United States, basically, he'd be like, okay, go to take this highway. When you get to there's going to be like this restaurant there, and there's tree, and like he would tell you everything. And I'm like, oh, there it is. I'm like, how's he know that? It's crazy. And one time we were driving through a town, and he's like, oh, I used to have a friend that lived here. I wonder if he's here. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, well, let's go check it out. So we pull up this random house. He hasn't seen this guy in 45 years. And he knocks on the door. And I'm like, what are we doing? And he's like,
Was it
hey.
his house?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. And they were like, oh, yeah, go on in. We're like, I'm like, what is happening? Like, how do we just show up to somebody's house you haven't seen in 45 years? And it's like, no, like yesterday. But I mean, crazy. I guess I have friends like that.
Yeah.
So.
That reminds me of when our grandfathers ran into each other at a bathroom at the rest stop.
They were peeing next to each other.
Yeah,
and Poppy Halowinski turns and he's like, hey, Bob. Or hey, John, it's Bob. And he's like, hey, don't pee on me. Well, I was laughing because like that whole show up, like things that we wouldn't do. So of course, when I was a teenager, we would go to Dad's for the weekend, you and I, and Dad had he worked in the yacht business, and so he installed carpets in these beautiful. I wouldn't even call them yachts. Most of them were considered ships because they were so big, and they were amazing. So he would cut these carpets and carve them and put them in these ships and these yachts. And so he had friends of all wealth status. Yeah. So we were invited to this party. Maybe it was a Super Bowl party even, but it was like a big party they were going to have at their house. And this thing was like a mansion, right? And it was in Fort Lauderdale, and it was unbelievable. Probably the biggest house I'd ever been to. And so we're going to this mansion, right? And we have to bring an appetizer. And so I'm like probably, I don't know, 15 maybe, because I wasn't driving yet. And so we go, and Dad's like, we go to the store to get it, and he buys hot dogs. And I'm like, we are not bringing hot dogs to a mansion. And he's like, it's going to be fine. You'll see. And the whole time I'm protesting this. I'm like, Dad, we are not bringing hot dogs. Please don't make me bring hot dogs to this party. Like, you're going to ruin me socially. And so he grills up these hot dogs. He's cut the cheese, and he cuts the pickles, and he puts them on little toothpicks. So on each toothpick, it has a hot dog, a piece of cheddar cheese, and a pickle. Like a little bite of pickle, right? And he brings them on this, like, jank tray. And we go to the party, and I'm mortified. Like, I just want to die because we were bringing hot dogs to a mansion. And he's like, it's fine. People are starving here. They're probably going to eat these first. And I'm like, oh, God, there's caviar. Like, and you're bringing hot dogs. I'm not kidding you. They were so good. And they got eaten first. The whole tray was empty. And, like, all this fancy food was everywhere. And that hot dog tray was empty. I was so embarrassed, but I've never forgotten it. So now every time I got to bring some, I'm like, oh, I'll bring hot dogs. Everybody eat it.
That's kind of a good idea. I should.
It's so good. It's so good. But
you need to tell me what kind of pickles they are. What pickles to get?
Just the garlic ones, the garlic dill. But it was like he pan-seared the hot dogs, so you have to pan-sear the hot dog, and then cut them up and put them on that thing.
But regular hot dogs?
Yeah, just regular old hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so embarrassed. I'll never forget it.
That's gonna be at my next party.
Probably should have told you that for the Super Bowl yesterday.
Well, we didn't have anybody over, so it was kind of chill. But yeah, so Dad had really good friends that we used to go and visit. Well, one time we go there, and Nicole and I were going to meet Dad there. And go ahead, Nicole. You tell the story.
Oh, my gosh. So yeah, I was probably 16 or 17. And you were, what? So that would make you, what, 8 or 9?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we get there, and it's in Ocala National Forest, so it's not like we're near anything. We're just basically on the edge of the forest. And they had a farm.
A long time ago, so there's nothing out there, like...
Nothing out there, nothing. Yeah. And so Dad's going to meet us, and so I have Carly, so Carly and I drive up, and then Dad's going to meet us there. And we're going to stay the night there, and then we're going to go camping. So we pull up, and they're out working in the yard. And, I mean, these are people that have been friends of our family. Like, they were our aunt's friends before they become our dad's friends. Like, I think they went to college together, our aunt and her.
Yes.
So they've been, like, years. Like, I mean, before I was alive. And so Carly and I pull up, and she's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, that's a weird way to greet somebody, right? Like, when you're having guests over at your house, like... like, how odd is that?
I thought you were expecting me, but
so
okay.
and remember, I'm like 17, so I'm like, we're meeting Dad here, and she's like, no, you're not supposed to be here. And she proceeds to yell at me for 20 minutes. She's like, I don't know why you're here. We don't have plans for this. I mean, just totally. And Carly's just staring at her like, what's happening? And I'm like, what are we doing? 20 minutes. She's reaming me because we're there on the wrong weekend, right? And Dad doesn't show up for like 2 hours after us. So now we're just sitting like in their like little sunroom just waiting for Dad. Like, this is so awkward. And the whole time she's just mad. Like, so she's just storming around and mad. And then Dad shows up. Yeah, Dad shows up. And she's like, oh, Donnie. Oh, it's so nice to see you. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you just yelled at me for 20 minutes. And you're going to act like nothing happened? I was like, I see you. So, super. Yeah, it was so awkward. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not staying here. Like, this is so awkward. And he's like, it's fine. Everything is fine. I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like, she just yelled at us. But it ended up, we ended up staying there that night. And then we ended up going to this little tiny restaurant in Ocala that was so fantastic. It was like a nowhere place, just tucked in the woods. And had the best steak and the best stuffed portobello mushroom. That's a weird thing that I have. If I eat something good, I'll never forget. Like, I can find my way back to it. If you tell me something important why I'm eating something good, I will always remember it. I'm like, oh, it was the cheesecake. Yeah. And you, I'll tell you the time, the date, where we were.
They had horses, that couple. And I remember one time Dad and I went, and we used to go and swim at their house down in South Florida. They had a lake, and we used to go in the lake and swim and play, and Dad built them a dock and everything. And it was so much fun. We had such a great time at their house, and Dad and I would go camp out there. Well, one time Dad's like, okay, I want to ride. Like, I'll ride the horse. Well, they had this huge gray horse. He was really tall. And Dad, he figured out that if he laid down, he wouldn't have to ride. So Dad gets on him on the driveway, and the horse literally laid down on him, laid down on his leg and everything. And, I mean, we were all like, like, what is happening? And Dad jumps up like, oh, it's fine. Like, I'm good. I'm okay. He did not get back on that horse. He was like, heck no. I'll just pet him from afar. It was so funny, though.
I mean, that's one thing about Dad, too, is he could build anything. Like, Pop can fix everything, and Dad could build anything.
Yeah. Well, so Dad, we went on this ski trip, and it was kind of a cool trip because it was just he and I for 9 days. We went to Jackson Hole and skied and everything, and we're getting up there. And, I mean, these mountains have some pretty good ski slopes. Sorry.
Are you frozen? We both just stared at the camera like, what is the word? What is the word?
So we're all these different slopes. So he's like, we're going to go down the diamond. We're going to do this. And I'm like, Dad, I don't know if I can. We got to the top of this mountain. I'm like, Dad, I'm nervous. Like, I don't feel like I'm just good. Because when you look at it, I mean, it was like,
oh, you can't even see like the other side of it. Yeah.
I go down this thing, literally, I was doing cartwheels. Like, you see those videos? I was doing cartwheels down the mountain, sister. Like, I thought I broke my leg. Get down, and he finally skis up to me. I'm like, my legs, are they okay? Are my legs okay? Legit cartwheels down the mountain on a diamond. It was like straight down.
Straight down. Well, he did that to me. We went skiing, and Dad was going to meet us there, and so we all went as like a family. So it was Pop and Grandma, and then you, Brandon, me, and Devin, because Devin was little. He was like 4.
Yeah.
Well, we had never skied before, so we get there, and like they put us in ski school. Well, and they only teach you how to wedge. Well, that shit does not work when you are going down a mountain and you can't see the other side of the ice, and so you just lean back. So now I am speeding down the mountain, screaming, waving my sticks. I think Pop wet his ski suit because he was laughing so hard. I mean, I came in to the bottom, you know, where everybody's lined up to get on the slope, on the lift, and it's like a wrapped around, right? I couldn't stop. I just laid down because I thought, okay, I'm just going to lay down. I laid down, but I was going so fast. I literally just took out everybody's legs in line. I was like, I'm so sorry. I just wiped them all out. I was so embarrassed. It was terrible. So then Dad came. And he's like, you don't need to do that. Come on, I'll teach you how to ski. And I was like, you don't know. You don't know how bad it is. It's really scary. Like, I thought I was going to die. And so Dad taught me how to ski, and then I was fine. But then he took me on that diamond. He took me on a diamond, and I'm like, I don't know, Dad. I don't know. Like, and we get up there, we get off the lift, and there's nobody there. I mean, we were like in the wilderness, because nobody's going on this black diamond that we're at.
Yeah.
And I could not see like past my skis. It was so steep.
Yeah.
And so I went down on my butt. I was like, nope, not doing that. He's like, come on, Nick, get up. I'm like, no way. I'm not going down. I'm like, I can't stand up. I'm like, I literally can't stand straight. I had to like lean back. And I already knew how fast I go when I lean back. So I was like, no way. I'm not doing it. I would look like a professional skier.
That was a trip that Mom ran into me, like full speed.
Oh, yeah.
It took me out, like laid me out. And I got up like crying, yelling out, why would you hit me? She felt so bad.
And Devin looked like a professional skier. He was like 4. He was like, we had to like chase him because he was so good.
Well, this reminds me of when Ted and I went skiing one time. We go down, and I went down. There was this like, you know how like the slopes will be like the normal slopes, and then you have like the risk takers that go up on the mountain and stuff, and they make like the small little trails and everything, right? So Ted and I were like, let's go try it. That'll be fun. Like, let's go do something adventurous, right? So I go first, and there's this slope that like goes down, and it has like a steep jump.
Yeah.
So I go, and it locks your knees at the end. The way, so it hits you forward. Well, it jerked me so hard, and I knew, like, Ted didn't realize how bad it was, so I didn't fall, though. I was able to hold it. So I get down, and I'm like, hold on, let me get my camera. So he comes down, and lo and behold, he goes down. It locks his knees, throws him forward over his skis. He loses his skis. He's flipping. He's doing cartwheels. I'm peeing my suit. I mean, it was so funny. He was like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you tell me? Like, that shit was too funny to tell you. Like, if I told you, you wouldn't have done it. Anyway, sorry.
So we're getting close to time, but I wanted to finish with Dad because I feel like we owed, it's owed to Dad tonight. Just all the fun we had and all the memories we had. I think our best times with Dad, I think, was camping. Like just going camping and like
that was like our thing too. Like he used to love camping and taking us and
So we'd go camping every year. We'd always go like right after Christmas. So we would have Christmas and then Dad would take us and we'd go camping and we'd go to Ocala and we had the same camp spot every year. And we'd have to get there like super early, get the right spot. And then Dad had the van. So he would sleep in the van. Oh, which is where he slept.
With Peter.
Which is where he slept that night when we were at their house. And you and I had to sleep in their house.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was super awkward because he wasn't even in there. We had to sleep in their house.
Yeah.
So Dad would sleep in the van, and then Carly and I would sleep in the tent. And we were like freezing. It's like the only time of year in Florida it gets cold. And so Carly would be like, please can we come in? And he's like, you're fine. We're all in tents, 20 degrees, keeping each other warm.
He had a little heater in there too.
Yeah.
And mind you, we would wake up in the morning and the pots that had water in them would be frozen. Like an inch of frozen water. Like that's a cold night to have that much ice.
Well, and the bathroom was so far away. So you had to like walk down the trail to go to the bathroom. And then they had a shower there. And so Carly and I would go in the shower because Carly wasn't strong enough, like tall enough to open the water. Right?
Yeah,
so
you had to like push it or something. Like it wasn't like a turn on and stay on. You had to push it.
And so like I would have to hold it because the water would get warm if you had it on, like if you kept it on. And so I would hold it on for Carly to wash, but then she would have to like spit it for me. I'm like, it's so cold. It's so cold. Carly, push it. Push it, Carly, push it. I was freezing. And we'd go canoe trip. I mean, we would do all the fun stuff, but I think my favorite time camping is when we got there early and our aunt and uncle and cousins were meeting us there. And we got there early, so we got to our campsite. And we pulled in, and Dad turned the music on in the van, and we danced in that empty campsite. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just had the best time laughing, just kicking up dust and dirt, and we were like covered in dirt by the time they got there. And then and then they had to put up a tent, and our cousins never put up a tent before, so that was
And
pretty
it
fun.
wasn't just like a small tent, it was like a
It was like,
three-room
yeah,
tent.
3 room
So
tent
they had,
with
they
no
had
directions.
we just laughed the entire time. It was so funny, all the cursing that was happening.
The serene woods. Everybody's yelling at each other. But I think that was my favorite time. Like my favorite memory.
Dad was just so fun. We always had so much fun together. Like when we would go camping, there would be loud people in the next campsite. We would take cookies and hot dogs and throw them in their campsites, like by their tents, and like put our black all over our face and dress in black and go throw hot dogs. So that was really fun. But I feel like we should tell the story of, well,
How we
okay,
thought
so
we were good campers.
oh, well, yeah. I mean, after Dad passed, we thought we were good campers, and we were gonna go and pay tribute to him and go camping a month
Yeah.
after he passed. We
And
go,
we
we're
like
like,
bragged to Jake and Papa that we were such good campers. That we knew what we were
got this
doing.
down. We know what we're doing. Like we got all the
We're
stuff.
fine. And
It
we
was
get out there, we have
terrible.
nothing. We had to go to the grocery store like 3 times. And Papa's like, "Are you sure you've been camping before?"
Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing.
It was terrible.
But so when Dad passed, we went to the hospital, and after he passed, they what did she say to us? Like they ask you
Well,
if you
so
want.
yeah, so can I back up a little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's kind of a cool story. And so Jake and I were at Pop and Grandma's chalet, which now they live in full time, but at the time it was like their vacation house. And so they said, "You guys can go up there for your anniversary." So it was our 10-year anniversary. So we went up there for our anniversary, and we were going to go to Asheville to just go around the town and just, have the day of it. And Dad lived in Asheville, and he was sick. So we're like, well, we'll go, see Dad and spend the day, and then we'll go to Asheville. Well, when we got there, the weather was so crummy. It was like raining and misty and cold. So we ended up staying with Dad all day, which was so fun. Got to his favorite bakery and just sat with him and ate. He couldn't eat at the time, and we knew it was close. So it was like the time for him to say goodbye to Jake, because I think he had said goodbye to everybody else. And so we ended up going back to the chalet that night. Well, black ice hit over the mountains, so you couldn't leave. And so he ended up going into a coma, and we ended up getting there the next morning when the ice melted. And so we were there, and I called Carly. I said, "You need to come." So her and Ted hop in the car, and they're driving. And so I'm in the room with him, and it was such I'm so grateful for that time, being there with him. And he couldn't talk. He had no muscle, and he couldn't. So he would just and I'd say okay, and I'd give him tea, and flip him over and turn him over and stuff and change him. And so at one point I said, "Well, Dad, do you want the nurse to do it?" And he was like, "No, I want you to do it." And I was like, "Okay, this is weird, but okay, I get it." So here I'm changing my dad. But so I was just sitting there with the room, and in the middle of the night, he sat straight up and reached out, and he yelled, "Mom." And
Yeah.
I knew that our grandmother was there to take him, to bring him home.
Yeah.
And I said, "Honey, I know you're here to get him, but Carly's on her way. Do you think maybe you could stall? Could you give me a minute?" So it was so cool because Carly was able to get there. Carly and Ted were able to get there before. So we were all in the room around him, and it's like this last moments. And it's so weird because they say like men especially will wait till you leave to die because they don't want to do it in front of you. And so we're all like above him, touching him, praying for him, telling him how much we love him. And Jake made a joke, and we all looked up and laughed and looked back down, and he was gone. And
Yeah.
so the lady comes in, and this, we've already cried a little bit, and we've kind of got it out, and it's just Jake, Ted, Carly, and I, and his girlfriend. And so we're all in the room, and the lady comes in, and she's like, "Well, do you want anything off the body?" And we're like he's in a gown. Like, I know he doesn't have anything on because I changed him. And she's like, well, do you want, like, is there anything like hearing aids or like false teeth? And I'm like, like it's such a weird question when you're more, when you're in that moment. Like,
Yeah,
what?
it's
Like,
so
do I
weird.
want his teeth? Like, what are you saying? And I'm like, I don't even think he has any teeth. The car's like, oh yeah, he has that false tooth. And so the ladies are just standing there waiting for us to answer. And I'm like, what are we going to do with the tooth? Like, it was such a surreal conversation. And Jake says, we could put it under the pillow for the tooth fairy. And we all are hysterically laughing, cannot keep
Because
it
we have a
together.
condition. Like, we literally have a condition.
Yeah, and it was like
We're
the
all
most
uncomfortable.
emotional like time of our life, and we just could not. And the ladies are literally just standing there waiting for us, like to finish, so they could put the body together and take him out. And we could not. We looked like such jerks.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then the same time, like he had died like 5 minutes, and like the breakfast girl's coming, and she's like in her cute little, and she's like,
Oh,
"Good
yeah.
morning." And I said,
And when somebody turns and goes, somebody didn't get the memo.
well, and the hospice lady or whatever is like, mm-mm. She's like waving her off, like big hand gestures, and the girl's like, what? And she
And
like
not
keeps
just
walking.
either.
No,
I mean, we're all like looking at her.
we're like,
I
we
mean,
could.
why did she just go? He's no longer here. Like when? Like he's no longer with us. honey.
The
Go on."
girl would not. She did not pick up on any. She's like, da, da, da. She's just going, and the lady, like, no, don't. And I go, he's not gonna need that. And she's like, oh. I'm like, he's not here. And she's like, oh. And she just like turned and walked away.
We could not get it together though. After that, we could not stop laughing.
Mm-mm.
Like we got those bad giggles where you just can't quit. After that, and I mean, that poor girl. Like I felt so bad for her.
Oh, they had no idea like that we were a hot mess. I mean, it was such a blessing to be there when he left. Like that's such a gift, I think. I mean, to be there to see life come into the world, when a baby's born, and then to be there when life leaves the world. I mean, it's just an experience you can't explain. I mean, it's just so powerful.
So then fast forward, and they have his ashes for us, right? and his girlfriend at the time was like, well, I want a little bit, and then you girls can have the rest. So I guess she takes out her little bit, and we get the rest. Well, it's in a box, in a cardboard
It's
box.
like just a cardboard box.
Like it looks like I just got an Amazon package. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay.
And we had to borrow because we had been paying and helping and stuff, so we were like tapped out. So we had to borrow money, remember, to get his ashes. Like it was like $500, and we were short, and so we had to borrow money from our uncle to get his ashes out.
I don't remember that. But
Yeah.
then
Because we had been traveling there, and we'd been buying groceries and paying for the heat and like doing all this stuff. So like when he passed, we were like, shit, we're out of money. Like, so we had to borrow money to pay for his ashes.
Yeah. So then I had his ashes with me. Well, at one point, I didn't remember where I put them. Like after, I don't know. I guess
One
we
point-
moved.
You've lost him a few times.
And I'm like, and Nicole says it in front of her kids, and they're like, what? You lost your dad's ashes? And I'm like, no, it's fine. I found them. They were in the closet. It's fine.
No, you didn't say ashes. You said you lost your dad, and you go,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
he's in the closet. And they were like, in the room we're sleeping in. They thought there was a dead man.
You have dead people in the closet?
They straight thought that he was just standing in the closet like.
You have dead people in your closet? They were terrified. Like, now they're scared to sleep at my house.
That was so
But
funny.
I did get a beautiful thing for him to be in and look over our house. So
But he's still in the box in the beautiful thing.
yeah, and he wanted to be sent up in fireworks.
Well, we had to convince him to tell us like what to do, and so we've been trying to figure out what to do with him. But I think the reality is, it's like if we don't do it, then it's not really done. So we've just kept him in a box for 15 years, and so every time Mom starts to mouth off, I'm like, "You see how you're going to be treated? You're going to keep it up." And I keep telling Mom I'm going to put her in a time, one of those sands, those time sand. What are they called?
Yeah.
Hourglass.
Yeah.
She can be part of game night.
That's so wrong.
It is so wrong. But yeah, so here's to Dad. We love you, Dad. We miss you.
Miss you.
We were lucky to have such good dads. So thanks for
Yeah.
joining us tonight. We'll see you next month. Oh, we're gonna have a special guest, and it's not gonna be this guy on my neck. I don't really know where this pimple came from on my neck, but it's like literally like
Looks like you got bit by like a giant ant.
It
Go
looks
with
like
that.
it looks like I got bit by a spider.
I got attacked.
Carly said, "You could have put makeup on it." I said, "I did." She said, "Oh, you don't have very good makeup." It's terrible. I would have wore a turtleneck, but problem.
T-shirt.
Anyway, so hopefully next week we'll have a special guest and it'll be fun, and your cute hair.
My curls, they're falling off.
We'll see you next Monday at 7 Central and 8 Eastern. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good night.